Welcome to TechCrunch Now. I'm Evelyn Rusli. This is the show where we break down the top headlines of the day with our favorite tech experts. And today we have a special treat, the founder of Zivity, Cyan Banister, and Brian Singerman. He's of the Founders Fund. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Now, for full disclosure, Cyan Banister is part of TechCrunch TV. She's going to be a contributor and having her own show, which is called Speaking Of. Now, Cyan, what exactly is Speaking Of?
It's a deep dive into the lives of entrepreneurs and business people. And it's something that you're not going to see on most networks because it's on a personal level. We're going to get down to what makes an entrepreneur an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And so things like Brian, maybe you'll be on my show, but things like what sort of games shape their business, mm-hmm. like what games they play, you know, what they do in their personal lives, what's in their fridge.
So it's really kind of the backstory of all these entrepreneurs, these tech icons, but not talking really about the business, but more about what made them into these people that made the business, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's going to be an amazing show. Really looking forward to it. And now moving on to today's headlines, the long-awaited Tesla IPO is finally here, ticker symbol TSLA. Now, despite the down day on Wall Street, it actually opened higher than the asking price at about $19 a share. It dipped down, but now it's back up to around $18 a share. That roughly values the company at $1.7 billion. Not too shabby for Tesla. What do you think, Brian? Your game is investing. Would you buy, sell, or hold Tesla at 18 a share?
I think that Tesla is one of those things that it's a long-term play. It's one of those things that they're technologically so advanced in the electric car space mm-hmm. that if they can succeed in getting this mainstream and getting power chargers on the roads, this is the company that you want to have. Also, I would never bet against Elon. Elon is an amazing entrepreneur. He's one of the best that I've ever seen or met. And so, yeah, I think that this is a real chance for a long-term play here.
Now, Cyan, definitely these cars are sexy and they could be the next generation of cars, but could this be the next generation of GM? They haven't been profitable, right? And for example, last year they lost about 56 million with revenues of around 112 million. So do you think that they can actually create a sustainable business model that is actually going to make money here?
I absolutely believe so. You know, like with Brian, I'm placing all my bets on Elon.
Mm-hmm. And why is that? Do you know him?
Do you know him? He's an incredible entrepreneur. He's just, amazing. How would you speak about him?
Right. So a lot of times when you're doing investing, whether it be public markets or private markets, you're betting on the team and you're betting on the management team. And Elon just has a knack for doing these amazing large-scale things and just getting them to work. And so a large part of the bet on Tesla is a bet on Elon, and that's a bet that I absolutely would make.
Yeah. Regardless, it's pretty cool that we have an auto company having an IPO. That hasn't happened in about 50 years. Now, moving on to the next headline, the rumblings for Google Me are growing louder and louder. There's speculation that Google Me will be the great Facebook rival, and Facebook hasn't really had a rival up to this point. MySpace, you could argue, but they've kind of receded when it comes to the real social network game, right? Cyan, what do you think about this? Do you think that this could be a credible threat to Facebook?
I have no ties to Google, so I actually am going to say no, because I've seen a lot of the things that Google has tried to compete in the space and has failed at miserably, and I don't think it'll actually succeed. I don't even know what Google Me is, but if it is positioned as a competitor to Facebook, I would say no.
Now, Brian, I think you probably have a different perspective. You founded iGoogle while you were at Google several years ago, right? So do you think that they have the stuff to make something that's attractive, that will be compelling as an alternative to Facebook?
You can never count Google out on anything. That being said, Google is at this point a very large company, and innovation does take some time at Google. However, I would absolutely bet that they're doing something. This is one of those things, if Facebook is a credible threat to them in search, then Google needs to take that seriously. And Google's been thinking about this for a long time. It's just that they're a big company and things move slow. They did make some traction in Gmail once they launched it 6 years ago, even though Yahoo Mail and Hotmail were by far dominant factors, and Gmail has made some traction now. So I wouldn't put it past them to be able to do it, but that being said, they've got a long road ahead of them. And I don't want to speculate because none of us know exactly what this is, but I wouldn't put it past them, but somewhat skeptical.
Yeah, and speaking generally about their social strategy, Cyan, it seems like Google really needs to repackage themselves if they're going to play seriously in the social space, because Buzz, Wave, they came out to somewhat of a lukewarm response. People have been using them, but not to the scale that people are using Twitter or Facebook, right?
Yeah, I had my first experience the other day where someone said buzz me. It was so odd. They were like, so why don't you just buzz me? I was like, what?
It doesn't really roll off
what the
the
heck
tongue,
is
but
that?
yeah.
You know, it's like, it doesn't roll off the tongue. And there's a great example of something that they've done in this space that I think is actually a failure. So they do need to work on their marketing and their branding and their positioning. Because one of the things about the social space is it is about what's cool and what's hot and where everybody is. And not everybody is on Google sharing things. They're on Facebook.
What's fun about today when you're looking at tech is how many of these companies are trying to encroach on the turf of other companies. You know, you wouldn't expect Google to have been a rival of Facebook, and you wouldn't have expected, for example, Amazon and Apple to be competitors, but of course they are today with the iPad and the Kindle. Now, recently Jeff Bezos sat down with Fortune and he gave an interesting interview, but the thing that really stood out was when he said that there are going to be a bunch of tablet-like devices. It's really a different product category. The Kindle is for readers. He's trying to separate Kindle from iPad. I don't exactly buy it. What do you guys think?
I actually completely buy it. You know,
Same here.
I've used both, and for me, they're totally different use cases. I can read on a Kindle for long flights to Europe. You know, my eyes don't get hurt, my eyes don't strain, the battery lasts that long. And on the iPad, with the backlighting, it's just I can't stare at the screen for that long. It's a beautiful, gorgeous screen. It's a gorgeous device in every way, but for pure reading, the key things in terms of the pure reading market are going to be ease on the eyes, battery life, and book selection.
Yeah.
And right now, the Kindle obviously has a huge lead on both book selection and ease on the eyes. Battery life, I'm not sure.
But that lead is dissipating. I mean, Apple is claiming that they have 22% of the ebook market, and that's from them, so who knows what. But I mean, that's pretty sizable for something that just launched a few months ago.
Are they actually reading those books? That's what I would love to know.
Right?
Because
is it children's books, or is it actually
Right.
people who
That's
are reading
right.
it for 8 hours at a time? I mean, but with every new generation, they seem more accustomed to reading off, you know, your laptop, your desktop, and maybe it's less important to have that e-ink technology.
Well, I mean, it's a really good question that Cyan asked. Like, are people reading full novels on their iPad? I mean, I see people doing magazines all the time, and newspapers and blogs, and obviously
I think it's great for magazines.
I think it's fantastic for magazines, and obviously that's going to always blow away the Kindle in terms of that. But for pure novel reading, to me, the Kindle has an edge in all three of those major categories right now, especially the ease on the eyes.
And Cyan, you completely agree?
Yeah, I plan to maintain both devices, and I also think paper books are a cool app too.
And that wraps up today for TechCrunch Now. Make sure you watch Cyan Banister's show, Speaking Of, which will debut later this week. Thanks again. And
Thank you.
That was TechCrunch Now.
Thanks.